This seance was recorded on the 15th of October 1987, medium Leslie Flint.
Mickey's there. I thought I heard him singing.
Do what?
I thought I heard Mickey singing.
I didn't hear anything. Mickey? I think there's something, Mickey.
Is it turned on, Leslie?
Yes, I'm hearing it.
Hello, Mickey.
We were just going to sing again.
Come on now. Mickey. Mickey? Can't hear you now.
Hello.
Very faint.
Oh, God, bring it up, it might be a gold sovereign.
You were referring to Leslie then, yes?
Yeah, but no, seriously. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
I'm so pleased to see everybody.
We are.
I'll do my best, so look.
Of course.
Oh, Stella. Stella. I love you. And Yasha loves you. And the Squire loves you. And everybody loves you. I wish I had the power to do some marvellous things, you know. I'd love to help Stella. Yes, she looks after you and helps you and everybody. I don't know. Sometimes we feel helpless and we try, you know. Hold on. I don't go away. No, you. No, go away. Someone, buzz off. You gotta laughing. Sometimes you get people pushing in. You know, they're curious, like, you know, and they probably didn't realise it was possible, like, to make a contact, like, you know. But anyway, we try to help everybody. Sit on tight, I'll be back in a minute.
Before you spoke, Mickey, there sounded as if there was a little girl trying to say something.
Oh, it's possible. I don't know, there's a whole crowd of people here, some of them I've never seen before, and they're nothing to do with us, I don't think, anyway. You leave it to me.
We can't do anything else but, can we?
Well, you know what I mean, I do my best, I can't do the impossible. Hello, Robert.
Hi, Mickey.
How are you, Madam Flutterboy's here?
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Mickey.
I call her Madam Flutterboy.
Why not?
But she never flutters by you, mate. She stands around you often, you know, trying to help you, cheer you up, like, you know.
I need
keep
that.
your feet on the right path, you know.
I need that,
Not that
Mickey.
you're likely to stray. So are you.
Nothing.
How are you all?
Fine, Mickey, thank you. Fine.
Where's the Grand Duchess?
Well, she started out today to come with that son John, and then didn't feel well. They had to go back. So sorry.
Oh, it's a shame, ain't it?
She tried to get here. Mickey.
But, Sheila, she's all right, aren't you, love?
Yes, I'm a
You're doing all your good works.
Absolutely.
Rushing around, doing this, doing
That's
that.
right.
Trying to fit in things, I know. Because they tell me all about what goes on in your house.
Yes. It's an open book.
Well, I don't know about an open book, mate, but I know a lot that goes on because I hear it from your boy.
Yes.
And your boy's around you practically every day, you know.
Lovely.
He pops in to have a look at you, see what you're all up to.
Lovely.
And Auntie, she's making copies of his pictures.
That's right.
And she's going to present them, ain't she?
Yeah, well, one is for,
Do what?
one is for, was it for? Jim, that's right.
One is what?
One is for Jim,
Leslie's friend.
Leslie's friend.
Jim, which Jim?
Jim Harrington.
That's right.
Oh, Jim with the boiler blow.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, he does a lot with people's boilers, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And all their heating system and that. Oh, he's a good sort, is old James.
Yeah.
So you'll do one for him.
Yes, I'm enjoying doing it very much. It's fun.
And I suppose it'll all be framed and everything, will it?
When it's done.
Does David like them?
Of course he does, but your David loves everything his mum does. Yeah, exactly. You know, your boy, bless his old heart, you know. I can't tell you, words are inadequate. And you can't talk about people in a way as what they feel deep inside. Words are not possible, really. But the love that exists between you all is so wonderful, you know. It's something so deep and you can't put it to words. Like old Yasha with Stella. Although that, you can't help laughing. Well, you know, you shouldn't, I suppose. I mean, those two, they really got on pretty well one way and another, and they were very, very close, but they used to have their little differences, I suppose, like everybody does. But, you know, old Yasha makes me laugh. If anyone had a dry sense of humour, he did. He makes me laugh at times. He's got you well taped still. You wait there when you come over here, you'll be young and beautiful, running around like a 2-year-old, singing the top of your voice, and you don't know, well you do know, but you know, when the time comes, you'll be together again, it'll be like, well, oh, you know, just when you first met almost, you know. You've got nothing to worry about. I know you've got your physical problems and your aches and your pains and God knows what, but you'll come out of it. When you step out of that body, mate, you'll really know what it's all about. You keep this pecker up. Don't get down to the dumps. How are you, Ellie?
I'm fine, thank you.
How's Dennis the Menace?
Dennis the Menace is fine, thank you. I'll tell him that.
You tell him I had a joke at his expense.
I'll tell
Not that he's any menace to anybody, but when I was on your side, we had a boy in school and his name was Dennis and we all called him Dennis the Menace. Those times a long time ago when I used to be on your side and I used to have got the old stone steps of the Bedford to get in the front row of the gallery to see Maury Lloyd and all them people.
Ah, yes.
Because that's a long time ago. I mean, in them days you got him for threepence up in the gallery, up them blinking stone steps, you know, up, push and get into the front light. And when I finished my paper round, second house, you know, long time ago now. Anyway, things have changed a bit. Because that fella, that young nice looking bloke, he's the driver, isn't he?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want to embarrass you. You can't help it if you're good looking. Now, your missus,
That's my missus.
I bet she don't know what to make of me, do you? You can't help laughing. People think when you kick the bucket, you're all running around playing harp, singing hymns. Oh, God love us, I'd rather we didn't know nothing if it was like that. No, our world's a real world, real people, real interests and things, you know, and religion's got nothing whatever to do with it, really. People make religions, create religions, and live by religion, but religion is something man-made.
Yes.
The real spirit is something quite different. Anyway, this will get the baby a new frock, hold on. Cheer up, Helen!
Yes, Mickey.
I can't help laughing, but you've got a bit of a problem on your hands at the moment.
Which one are you referring to?
You!
Me?
Which problem, Mickey?
Which problem?
Well, I don't know, but there's something to do with illness. You know what I'm on about?
No, who?
Oh, well, perhaps I shouldn't say. Ah,
Yeah.
No one in the family, hopefully, Mickey.
someone tells me that she has to go, not you, to some hospital.
Who?
Is there somebody connected with you that's unwell or having an operation or what?
Having an operation?
Do what?
Nobody.
All right, well, we'll leave it. But perhaps I'm seeing a little bit ahead, but they tell me that you're not to worry, everything will work out, but there is some concern, or will be, if it hasn't already developed, to do with somebody being in the hospital and having some kind of an operation. They say don't worry too much, but I thought from what I was being told it was already on the way. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so.
Was it a question, perhaps, about an operation?
Has someone had an x-ray?
Been to see a doctor, actually, today.
Has no one been to have some sort of an internal x-ray?
No.
Hey,
No.
did she say yes?
No.
Oh, I don't know what it's all about. There's something in the wind. Don't want to worry you. I wish I hadn't said anything now.
Yeah. It's trying to think.
It sounds as if it's going to be alright.
Do you know Lou?
Always
We always get
This man keeps pushing in, and he's here with David and with a number of other people, and this person Lou keeps on pushing in every time you come here.
That's right. We always get a message.
That's right.
It's as if he has some claim. Not claim ain't the word, but
Something
he
he wants
seems to
to
take
say.
a great interest and is to do somewhere with the background of your family,
Yes.
because I think he's been here a long time, and
No,
I
he
don't
hasn't
know whether
done
the
that.
Duchess would know him.
It's not if it's that Lou. Is it Lou Kay? I don't know. That's the only Lou I can think of.
No.
It's not.
No, this Lou is a generation or so back,
Yeah.
and he was old when he died anyway.
Oh,
there
it's
was
not
no
okay.
chicken, and
Can't place it.
oh, you should.
Had an uncle Lou who died many years ago.
I have
Can't
nothing.
place it.
But we always get the name Lou. I don't know why. We thought it must be Lou Kay. Because it seemed to fit in with some of the things, but maybe it's more to be.
She knew Barney very well.
And because you said something about chickens, and that connected up, because he did.
Do what?
You said something about chickens at one time with him, and that Lou Kay was connected up with making houses for chickens.
I don't understand it either. It's your guess is as good as mine. But he's always turned up every time you come here, and with David, and I don't suppose David would know about him, but before his time, obviously. But
But if it was a long time ago, yes.
yeah, it must be about 80 years ago, I think,
80.
as far as I know.
80.
Don't know. If you can find out anything more, it'd be interesting.
I can't get away from this. Helen,
Yes.
are the two sisters connected with you on Earth?
I haven't got any sisters, but
Is it Dennis's people?
he hasn't got any sisters. Could it be another generation, one up?
Don't understand this.
Could it
Getting a
be?
lot of interference on
Could
me.
it be anything to do with my mother?
I don't understand this. There's something about two sisters, and it's to do with your people. And what did you say?
Can we get a name?
Don't understand it. I'm baffled.
Can we get a name at all, Mickey? I'm baffled too.
There's something to do with Rose or Rose.
Yes.
And it's all connected up with you and your family
Yes.
and people over here.
Yes.
And there were two sisters.
Yes.
And Rose, you understand all this?
Yes. Yes, I know Rose.
And
She's on your side, isn't she?
Yes, but she's talking about the two sisters, you see.
Yes.
And there's a lot of love and affection coming from this side to do with you and your people and all that. But I feel that there's somebody here also, and they haven't really put me in a correct touch, as you might say, but there's somebody here who died under most peculiar circumstances. Their death wasn't natural, and they had to have an inquest and an autopsy, as you call it.
Oh.
Yes, and that's to do on Dennis's side of the family, definitely not yours.
Dennis's side. Oh. I can't think
Who
of
was this Jack they're on about then?
Jack would be perhaps a cousin of Dennis's.
It's to do with Dennis's side
He
of the
died
family.
a long time ago.
Yeah, a number of years ago, but
Yes.
whether they found him dead or what, but it seems as if they had to have an autopsy or whatever you like to call it, because of the circumstances of this man's passing. And I think that, what did you say? And there's a lot of things I don't understand. I'm not supposed to, I suppose, but all sorts of people pushing in. I don't know who's who, what's what, I'm with. But there's someone keeps on about Ross is here.
Ross?
Ross.
For me, for us.
Yeah, it's all connected with your lot.
I didn't know Ross.
No, I didn't think you
Rose.
would.
I know
Yeah, I
Rose.
know, I told you about Rose. But there's also a bloke here, a man here, a Mr. Ross. And he's talking about business, he's talking about a shop, and he knew Dennis, or talking about Dennis and your business that once was.
Oh, Dennis might know. Mr.
Yeah,
Ross.
well, you see, perhaps he wouldn't know everything like, but, there's a lot of activity around you. It's no good beating about the bush with you, I've got to tell you frankly. I'm not saying there's anything unduly you've got to worry about, and I probably almost wish now I'd never mentioned this, but there is going to be some concern about somebody in hospital and having x-rays and an operation. And they say it will be very upsetting at the time, but don't worry, it will work out better than one dare think. But it seems as if there's been a suggestion of something, even up to recently, of something not quite right, and having to seek medical advice. And then it seems to me that this is something that is, I wouldn't say imminent exactly, but it's there. And it's something that will come, and you mustn't get het up and you mustn't get into a steamed up state about it, because it'll work out. But it will be a rather depressing time, because it will take its course, I'm sorry to be a nuisance.
No, but it's rather worrying.
Wish I hadn't said nothing now.
Yes.
Sometimes one should know when not to speak. But it was so imminent, it's so sort of,
Forceful.
I think they're trying to prepare you that you wouldn't be unduly upset or worried, because it's something that has to be seen to. It's important. It will happen. It may not be immediate, but it's on the cards, mate.
Oh dear, I wonder who it is.
Oh dear. Ellie's here now. Oh, blimey. Oh, God love us. What did you say? Now get the people we know. Go away.
Mickey? Mickey? Come on, Brent.
Stella. Stella. Yasha. Yasha. Hello, Yasha. Hello, Yasha.
Hello, Yasha. Hello, how are you? He's fine, thank you. How lovely to be.
I can't tell you how thrilled and excited I am, but I'm not quite sure if you can hear what I'm saying.
Yes,
but
yes,
I just want Stella to know I'm waiting for her to join me. I'm looking forward to the day when she can come and be with me. I know at the moment things are bad, worse than ever I thought would be, but there you are. That's how it is, I'm afraid, but we're going to be all right, you know that, eventually. Try to keep smiling. I know it's the hardest thing to do under the circumstances, and I was so concerned and worried about you way back, and I still am to some extent, but if only I could do something. I wish I could, I don't know, I wish I could do something, but I can't. All I can do is stand and wait for the time when you're free. I wish I could come and, I wish I could come and kiss you, darling, but You mustn't worry. It's easy to say that under the circumstances, but nothing can separate us. We'll all be together. Eventually, Squire sins his love, and well, we all sin our love, you know that. I come and see you without hesitation every day I'm there in some way. I keep on trying desperately to let you know I'm there. I think you do know, deep down inside you. I want you to know I'm never far from you, darling. Keep your chin up. It's easy to say that. I know how you are, how you feel, how desperate you get and depressed, but I wish I could do something, but what can I do? What can I do more than just be around? I wish I could, but I can't. I could see this happening a long time ago, really, and I never thought it'd be as bad as it is. I just hope and pray you'll join me soon, very soon. I don't want you to go on the way you are, but I know there's no choice. You have to put up with it to some extent. There's nothing anyone can do. But the time will come, and you'll step out of that poor old tired little body of yours, darling. Be with me, we'll be together. Don't worry, we'll be together.
You got a bit excited.
Yeah.
I found it difficult, but you're so ancient and auntie still. Well, she does know, she does understand. And I think what makes it hard for everybody on this side and yours is to know that in a way there's little if anything we can do. And the physical side of things, well, takes its course, don't it? And yet, Ducky, you've got a wonderful brave spirit and, in a way, an independent spirit, although you have to depend more and more on other people, and it goes against the grain. But, you know, Auntie, if I can call you Auntie, it won't be so very long, and you and him, of course, if you could see him, you'd laugh like I don't know what, because he looks like a young, handsome sort of film star now. I mean, he looks really gorgeous, you know. You'll have such a wonderful time when he gets hold of your hand and pulls you to him and gives you a big hug and kiss, you know. And, of course, if you could see his Squire, oh, blimey, you'd never realise, you know, he looks as young as I don't know what. There's no old age here. The body gets old and tired and weary and all the rest on it, like your poor old body, bless his heart. But the point is, when you step out of it, you're young. The spirit's young, it's the body that goes old, isn't it? And all the various people that are here, you know, the Squire's missus and your people and the Asher's mum and dad and all the rest of it. I mean, if only you, well, you do realise, you're going to have such a wonderful homecoming and a welcome when you come. You'll be dancing around like a 2-year-old. In fact, I reckon if we had ballet, they'd put you in it. You are funny, love. You know, I do love you, and you haven't really changed a bit. Outwardly, yes, physically you've changed, because that's unfortunate circumstances of health. But you're a lovely little thing, girl, and you're going to be so happy eventually. Time will pass. I know it's wearying and all the rest of it, and you have to depend more and more on other people, which goes against the grain. But nevertheless, you manage, and you'll come out on top, you see. You're a case, you are. But you know, you got there laughing even now, in spite of everything. You know, you haven't really changed underneath. In fact, I could go on talking about you, because you're one of my favourites. I'll be there when you come. I say, here she comes! She'll come over here, she'll be so happy. I don't know why things like this happen to nice people like you. I mean, you've always been such a good person, and I'm not just bumming you up, mate, it's true. You've always been a kind, warm person, always tried to do what you could for other people, and Yasha too. I don't know why it is you get some horrible people on your side who seem to go through life with no problems, no nothing. And never mind, that's the way it is. You'll be all right, girl, you wait. God's good, he loves his children.
Why did you make us suffer?
Do what?
I said,
God's got nothing to do with it.
Well, if he could.
People always say, why does God allow this? God gives man free will. Man creates circumstances and conditions in your world. He pollutes the atmosphere, the sea, the land, you name it, and he does terrible things one to another. Man creates all the terrifying things that happen. God gives you free will, and it's your free will that brings all the horrifying things into your world. I mean, a lot of the illnesses, in fact, I suppose fundamentally, if the truth are known, all illnesses start way back, perhaps centuries ago, in man's stupidity. Everything about in your world is what man has brought into being in some shape or form. Of course, you can say, well, what about earthquakes and things like that? They're natural things, of course. But you see, people got this weird idea that God is a man or a person, and nobody knows. I mean, God is a living vital force which animates everybody. You're all sharing the same spirit, the same animating force that gives you life. And you can call it this, you can call it that. But people got this weird idea from centuries of time. They had a created God or a figurehead, and then they created this out of their own imaging and their own desire for some superior force they could look up to. But the God is within you. You have the power of the Holy Spirit within you that makes all things a reality and a possibility. You can overcome many things by the power from within. Of course, there are certain things that are not possible perhaps to change, like poor old Stella, bless her heart. She can't do anything about her physical self, and yet mentally and spiritually she's very vital, very alive, and she's overcoming the worst aspect of the physical by from the power within. She has the spirit of the Great Spirit within. I mean, if only people could understand what we're talking about. I mean, you can only have religions, and you've only got to look back on the history of religion and what has it done. All right, you can say it's done a lot of good in some directions. A lot of very genuine, sincere people who do good work in religion, okay. But religion's been the curse of man. Over centuries and centuries of time, it's bred hatred, malice and intolerance. One lot of people don't like another lot because they believe in a certain direction. It's a cause of a great deal of unhappiness in your world as well, because man doesn't interpret it as they should do. They haven't got the real spirit behind them. They don't realise that God is within. The power of the Holy Spirit is within. The power of the Spirit is within. It's got nothing to do with effigies and idols and people dressed up in habits and robes. That's not the reality. The reality is the Spirit which is within all humanity, irrespective of class, colour or creed. We get a bit browned off with religions, you know.
Mickey?
What?
Do you get any problems at all in your world? Any worries or problems or things that...
Well, in a way yes, and in a way no. You see, if you have any problem, it's something within yourself. It's something invariably within your own makeup. You see, people, when they kick the bucket, they don't suddenly become angels. They don't suddenly change. They're still identically the same as they were before, until they begin to assimilate, if that's a word, the new existence in which they find themselves. And then they begin to make changes within themselves and within their interpretation of things. I mean, everyone inhabits or goes into an environment to which they're best suited, and gradual progress is made. And when you've assimilated, if that's a word, all that you possibly conceivably can in one area of activity of life, and then you begin to aspire to a higher state of being, so you gradually open up the door, as it were, and you go through. You see, it's all a gradual process of change. And in any case, let's face it, what life is all about is change. You cannot be static, you cannot be stationary, and even in your world, you're not static. Your whole body's vibrating in harmony with the conditions around you. All life is vibration and change, gradual, so subtle, you're not even aware of it. Of course people change when they come here. Their attitudes change, their outlook changes. They suddenly come to face perhaps with reality of a kind which they never anticipated or expected. I mean, I could go to depth on all this. I mean, when I come down to you lot, what do? I change to a point, to a lower level of consciousness. In other words, in spite of my experience and knowledge and advancement, if I can use the word over here, because I've assimilated a great deal since I've been here on a spiritual level, yet when I come down to earth, I have to enter into a more earthly vibration with an outlook perhaps to some extent more material, and I revert temporarily to my old self as I was. But I'm no longer little Mickey that sold newspapers. Over here I'm in a much different state of being altogether. But to do the kind of work I have to do, I deliberately chose to come back and inhabit, as it were, the old self, so that I could perhaps, my way of talking and that, I could amuse people and interest people, and also help them get contact or connections with the people they've known and loved, or pass on messages if they can't speak themselves. You see, everyone here works for the common good. They may be working on an entirely different level. They may not necessarily always see exactly the other person's point of view, which may seem an odd thing to say, but it's true. There is love and harmony, but there's also, to some extent, an exchange of experience, obviously. And there are, to some, on a different level of awareness, a consciousness, that they don't necessarily always fully understand or appreciate exactly 100% what another person may be trying to do for them. You see, there are groups of souls here who live on a certain level according to their development or evolution, or lack of it, accordingly, and people will go to them to visit them, try to help them, if they can expand their vision and expand their experience and lift them up, as it were, out of their state of being where they are confined by the limitation of themselves. Everything is within man. Everything is there. You can overcome so much more than you even think is humanly possible. There's no... Well, actually, in a way, if man has the realization of the power within and what he can do and what he can achieve by that, I mean, all the great prophets and all the great teachers, all the great seers through the ages, and although they never, not any of them, ever came into your world to found a religion, that's what man has done. He's built around the teachings or the experiences of great souls who come to show an example or to set the path for people to tread and follow, so that they could too, while still on earth, as it were, open up themselves to the mind and the spirit and the consciousness of the things eternal. Life is eternal. There can never be death of any description, because the spirit is eternal. The spirit is unified between all peoples of all races of all periods of history and time. Of course, you sometimes get people say, well, do people sometimes come back and reincarnate? Or do they enter into another physical body for a term of service or work or experience? In some cases, yes. A lot of the old souls, the old teachers, the old prophets, they weren't new souls, they were old souls who deliberately chose or were sent into your world to do a specific work at a certain period in history when man needed guidance or upliftment or shown the path of true realization, of expansion of their spirit and their vision. And therefore there were great teachers, great prophets. In all religions, the background is always from someone on this side of life who gave completely of himself or herself, as the case may be, to serve humanity. But you see, you all think, and that quite rightly, no one's saying you shouldn't, and you can't help it, but you all think more or less on the framework of the physical body, which is merely the house in which the spirit is contained. Of course you love people, whether it's your son, your husband, or your whoever. You love the image, you love the person, even if they're not exactly what you might call physically attractive. It's the spirit deep down that people fall in love with, if they're really in love. I mean, all right, you can have someone fall in love with a pretty girl, and because she's pretty and she looks nice, you have the physical side, yes. But as you go together, mentally and spiritually, you begin to see the deeper part of the self. And the spirit takes over, or should do, in a really happy combination. You see, I want to go into depth on this. There are so many different aspects to humanity. It's not just purely physical. If it were purely physical, then it would be of no real value at all. Real value is within the spirit, within humanity. It is that love and that understanding and that patience and that perseverance which carries you through life, even with people who may be married and they see much good in both parties, but they're not exactly ideally mated, and they begin to realise it, and they make the best, some people say, of a bad job. But the whole point is that you are brought together to help to work out, to some extent, your own, I use the word salvation, I don't mean that in a narrow sense, but the point is that you have to have the rough and the smooth. You have to have the bad things as well as the good. And you often learn more from the bad or the things that don't seem to go the way you think they should go. You know, people always want things, you know, the way they want them. They want everything nice and easy and comfortable, no headaches, no worries, no responsibilities, and they just want to be, well, I suppose you could say in a physical sense, happiness. What is happiness? That's another kind of an illusion in any case. I'm not saying that everything in life is an illusion, but you have to learn. You have to sometimes suffer to gain. You have to experience all kinds of things before you can hope to achieve or attain anything. Nothing comes easy, especially the worthwhile and the good things. I mean, I learn a great deal, and I think you lot know more or less, I hope you do anyway, that it's not just the material, it's not just the physical. Sometimes you're given care of another soul for a short time to love and to cherish, and you feel terrible when that person you've known and loved is taken from you. But it's been, in a sense, an experience, sad though it may be in some senses. It's been a wonderful privilege. You see, like with your son, I mean, if you could see your boy as I see him, as I know him, you'd be thrilled, you'd be happy, and you'd say, well, bless him, you know, he's gone, in a sense, ahead of us to make it, well, prepare for us when we come. You know, your boy is an extraordinary character in all ways and one, and he showed that when he was on your side in any case. He showed the signs of it. You know, you feel sad for yourselves because you feel you're, in a sense, separated, yet deep down inside you, mentally and spiritually, you know you're not. Physically, yes, you miss the physical presence, that's understandable, but nobody like Paul, Auntie here, you know, with Yasha, she misses the physical presence of Yasha, and yet she has the inner awareness that he's not far from her, that they're very close, and they're not far apart, and she's growing nearer to him as she's, you know, I could go into depth on this. I mean, the physical body suffers, but the mental and the spiritual aspect of oneself is growing away from the physical, out of the body, and leaning more and more on the power of the Holy Spirit. You know, I do wish people could get things right. You know, people in your world, sometimes I think, I don't know what to make of some of them. They call themselves spiritualists, and I wish to goodness they get the real message. It's not just only the message, that's important. To talk to someone or get a message from someone you know and love is vital, and in the beginning essential. You have to have proof, and everybody has the right to have that kind of proof to give conviction. But it's more deep than that. It's the power of the Holy Spirit that's touching you, and it's the Holy Spirit shared by the one you've known and loved, over here trying to overcome and give to you the realization that it wasn't just only the material and the physical, it was also the mental and the spiritual, and you get this combination, this wonderful union. Only I knew how to explain this to you. You know, Auntie, she gets down in the dumps, and she's got every darn good reason to be down in the dumps. I mean, I know how she must feel, and Yasha is very sad for her in a physical sense, but in his heart he knows that mentally and spiritually they are as one. And when she comes here, and when they are united, and they're in the flower of health, with no aches, no pains, no undue stress, worry or anxiety, when they're released from the physical, when one is released, you've done your term on earth. It's been good, bad and indifferent. You've had your ups and your downs, you've had your sadness and your joys and your happiness, but you've also had a big, it's like a schoolroom. Your world is where you're learning lessons from class to class. Sometimes you have a good teacher, sometimes you don't do too well, sometimes you fail yourself and you get depressed and unhappy, and eventually you leave out into the outer world where you really begin to learn. It's in the outer world, in the spiritual world, that you really open up your eyes to the glory and the beauty and the happiness and the joy. And that's what's going to happen with poor little Estelle. She's going to be so happy. If she had a cat, she'd throw it in the air and she'd say, thank God for that. I'm free now and I can be with Yash and all the other dear friends, you know. She's coming through them. She's going to be okay. She's going to be marvellous. She's going to be so thrilled, so excited, so happy. And she's just got a little longer to go. She's got to go a little bit longer on the path. And she's got to say to herself, well, I stuck it
and I got over it, and here I am. You know, I wish people would know what dying is all about. It may be an unpleasant experience, the slow process of dying if you've got a terrible illness, but the rejoicing that happens when you leave that body and you look down on it, you say, well, thank you for all you've been for me, you know, and given me life, as it were, material and all that. But you're so glad to get away from it. When you've had your aches and your pains and your upsets and you're old and your ages and you can't walk, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you're almost asking God to take you, if you believe in God, that is. You know, if only people could see what dying's all about. It's like opening the door, letting the fresh air in and walking out into the glorious sunshine. You don't want to worry about kicking the bucket. You can't help worrying about being ill and unhappy in that sense, but if only you knew what it's going to be like. No one need fear it. I mean, it's something to look forward to, something to sort of really get excited about. It's a big adventure. It's not something you need to be scared about, kicking the bucket. It's something you should welcome. And especially if you've got aches and pains and you're not feeling too good and people are getting on your nerves, you want to get away from them anyway in some cases. I mean, let's face it, that's what living's all about. You may like people for various reasons, but you don't hate anyone, I hope, but sometimes you think, my God, she does get me down. No. And then you be with the people that you're really right for. Everybody enters into an environment they wish they're best suited. No one need worry. I didn't intend to talk like this, but, you know, you get me carried away.
Very welcome.
It was wonderful, Mickey.
Very welcome, Mickey.
Actually, you, Robert, you silly old sausage. You're a case, you are. You're a case of somebody who came from the living dead. And now you're, you know, poor old sausage, I can't help feeling sorry for you. I feel sorry for a lot of people. But you went through a terrible, terrible time, didn't you, Bob?
That's very
And
true.
really you gradually come out of it, and you're gradually beginning to see the reality of things. And of course your little flutterby lady, she'll be with you, oh boy, will she? She's been with you a lot lately too, let me tell you. She hasn't spoken very well yet, but we'll get her talking. But you look after yourself and know that every step of the way, your little lady's behind you.
Yes, Mickey.
And make sure you get that bleeding pipe. You know that lady will be upset if you don't get that pipe.
I know it, Mickey, and I'll do my part.
You are funny though, aren't you? You're a strange bloke in a way, aren't you, Robert?
I think so too.
You're
Mickey.
quiet, you're very self-contained.
I think so, Mickey.
But I've got a good heart, mate, and you're an intelligent sort of bloke.
Thank you, Mickey.
He's an individual, Mickey.
Oh, of course he is. Everybody's an individual. I mean, that's another thing. Everyone's an individual. But what is an individual? That's another thing where people kid themselves. Of course, people say, of course, you know, I'm an individual, or so-and-so is a very strong personality, or a strong character. But what does that mean? The whole point is that whoever you are, or whatever you are really a combination of other people's thoughts and ideas. So from the moment you were born, through schooling and what have you, and through life itself, you have taken on from other people's thoughts and ideas, and goodness knows what else, particularly religion. And in consequence, what is an individual? He's a combination, or she's a combination, of untold numbers of people's thoughts and ideas of generations. Not necessarily the present, but sometimes the past. What is an individual? What is an individual? You look in the mirror, you see your reflection, and sometimes you, well, depending on the person, of course, you look at yourself and you say, oh yeah, all right, you know. And you get this idea that you're something quite different, and that you're superior, or whatever it happens to be, you know. Well, in a way you may say you are, but you're not really, because everything that you say and do, practically, has already been said and done in previous incarnations or previous experiences over the centuries, you know. What is a person? A combination of untold numbers of other people's thoughts and ideas. People kid themselves, you see, to some extent. I'm not saying that they don't become a person in the sense that maybe they're different or varied from some other one person, but you really are a combination of other people's thoughts and ideas. The very things you utter, the very things you say, the very things you think, they've all been said or done in some shape or form, perhaps differently interpreted by other people before you and around and about you. Schooling, you learn at school what you learn, other people's thoughts, other people's ideas, other people's knowledge, experience, and then you get into the outer world and you get into business, and you get caught up with all sorts of material things, but you're reiterating to a great extent what's already been done and said generations ago. Nothing new about it. Life is continuous, it flows. Everything flows from one person to another, from one generation to another, from one group of people to another. Whether they're people of this faith or that faith, the fundamental thought is vitally, really the same. It may be interpreted differently, and it may be spoken of in a different fashion or a different way. And people kid themselves, really, when you get down to brass tacks, in a kind of way. Perhaps one shouldn't say it, but they do. And they get sometimes very big-headed, and they think they're the cat's whiskers, and they think they're very original, and somebody writes a book, and they think their book is utterly different, and probably is in some respects, to anybody else's book. But when you get down to it, sentence by sentence, chapter to chapter, it's like people's lives. It's chopping and changing, yes, but it's all been done and all been said before in some shape or form. What is original? Well, what is original? Well, when you come here, you'll find what originality is. It doesn't really exist in your world. In a sense, it may seem so. But when you step out of the physical body and you're no longer physically attached to material things, when your mind is more clear and free to accept and understand, when your spirit yearns for knowledge and experience, when your spirit expands itself far beyond the confines of material things, that's when you become, in a sense, original. All right, you can say you take from other people who are already here, which is true. But there's such a vastness about the world of spirit. It's not one world. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different worlds, or different levels of awareness and consciousness. And as you aspire, so you grow. And you exist, in a sense, in one environment temporarily, if you like. And you take from that one environment, or that one group, or whatever, all that you can take. And then you expand your vision and go a little further afield, a little further ahead. That's what makes life. In other words, what is eternity? People always talk about eternal life. They don't really know what they're talking about, because you can't measure it. But the point is that if a thing is to be eternal, then it must have no end. It must be a constant change from one condition or sphere of activity to another. And that's what this world is. It's many, many, many worlds. What about the people who died 200,000 years ago, or what? They've expanded over centuries and centuries, and they have gone further afield. And in a sense, you can't reach them because they're beyond your reach. You haven't made it possible to reach certain people on outside of life because your vision hasn't expanded. You haven't earned it. You haven't made it possible because you have not done or lived the kind of life which you should have done or lived, and you haven't opened up your mind to the things which are eternal and things which are beyond the norm. What is the norm? I mean, what is the norm to you lot? You're sitting in your material world, in your material chairs. You've been talking about various things that have been going on around and about you. You're part of that world. That is your normal existence. But it's only a mere speck. It's like it's like a grain of sand in the desert. I mean, the whole life is something far removed from what you could possibly conceivably imagine. And that's the trouble with religion. They try to bring you down. They try to confine it. They try to make you adhere to certain tenets or whatever it is that they say are the correct things. Maybe centuries ago somebody said something which has been twisted or made actually quite different what it was intended to be. Whether you take Jesus or whoever. I mean, Jesus was a great teacher, a great prophet, a great healer, a great seer. And he knew his kingdom wasn't of your world. He had no illusions about that. He came into your world to show a path of righteousness and of truth. And he even supposed to have turned round and said to others, greater things than these shall you do, for I go unto my Father. Which means that you can be as he was, or even more so. It's within you. The power is there. The power of the Holy Spirit is manifesting itself in many ways through many peoples. And each one of you can be a great teacher, or a great prophet, or a great seer. You have the power to heal the sick and the suffering in some instances. Not everyone can be healed. If one could, we'd heal poor old Stell. We'd make her run around like a 2-year-old if we could. But there's a limit sometimes to what can be done and what can be achieved. There is no death. It's the biggest bleeding illusion of the lot. I get annoyed when people talk about kicking the bucket, and that's the end of him or her, you know. And then you get some of these narrow-minded religious lot who say, oh, well, if you followed our brand of religion like Homo or Daz, it'll wash whiter, you'll be okay. It's not like that at all. All these religions, really, more or less, they haven't got the truth. They've got a fundamental aspect of the truth, and they all talk about life after death and do nothing about proving it. You know, I get very upset. I get very annoyed sometimes at some of these religious people. I mean, I think sometimes they do a darn sight more harm than they ever do good, because they make people narrow-minded, prejudiced. They breed hatred, malice and intolerance between this group and that group, and they are the cause of a lot of people's misery. I mean, you're only going to look at the history of your Jewish race. What did the Christians do? What did the so-called fanatics, religious groups do? They tortured and burned at the stake and God knows what else. Religion is the cause of a lot of man's misery. Religion breeds hatred, malice and intolerance. It doesn't do all that much good. And yet the people who founded those religions were good, sincere, honest people. They showed a spark in the darkness of your world, and they lighted a candle for people to follow. But did they follow? No, not on your Nelly, mate. They wanted power, material power. They wanted all the things that they could get from the peoples of their age and their time in a material sense. What do? They build bloody great temples and ornate places, and they get as much money as they can. Look at the Vatican. Cool, south the coast. Look at the good that could be done with all that money, all those possessions, help the sick and the suffering, build nice houses for poor people. Religion's got nothing to do with power in the material sense, got nothing to do with power in building great temples and edifices, as you call it, and all that. Religion, true religion is spiritual realization and awareness and humility. And I mean, all the great prophets, all the great teachers, they had great humility. What has the church got? No humility. It's got power, pride, money, you ask, you know. This is what infuriates me. That's what infuriates most of us on this side. We look at your world and we see the terrifying things that man has done to man, and a lot of it is done in the name of religion. Who blesses the flags and the cannons and all that? Religious groups. The priests and all the rest of it. They know that those poor men are going out to be slaughtered, and now in the modern world they drop bombs and all the rest of it. And what do? They don't stand up and fight against it in the power of the Holy Spirit. Not on your bleeding Nelly, mate. They know which side they're on. They're not on God's side, they're on man's side, on the material side. I get furious, I really do. I get real mad when I look down at some of your religious outfits. I mean, I wouldn't give them a halfpenny. In fact, if I could, I'd take what they got away and give it to the poor. That's what Jesus and all the great prophets did, what they advocated. They didn't talk about power. They weren't interested in material power. You know, I don't understand how it is people get fooled by it, and they fall for it, and they follow it, and they keep on putting more and more money into their coffers. For what? If they do some good, and I'm not saying some of them don't do good here and there, I know they do. I know they make sacrifices, some people, and they do everything they can if they think they're going to do some good. I'm okay for that. But I could go into depth about it. You know, we have a lot to contend with over here. You know, the worst people that we have to contend with, apart from real rogues and that, are the religious lot. They're the most difficult people to deal with. They come here full of prejudice. They think that they're God's elect, that one day they're going to be brought back onto earth and they're going to be special, you know. They really do. The religious ones are the worst ones of the lot, especially if they're real, you know, real hardliners. Go, I could go into depth on it. Anyway, I mustn't talk anymore. You know, otherwise you'll go away and you'll get, you know, but I'll get furious really, because I know that you're all nice people. You're all striving for truth, and you've had sadness and sorrow in your lives, and that's what life is about anyway. But you boy, bless his heart, if you could see him as I see him, you'd be so happy for him. You'd be really joyous in your hearts for him, and I know in a way you are. But you see, you've got to face up to life, and your two children have got to face up to their life. Old John's got to get on in the world, make something of himself, you know, and it's a problem, and it's some extent a worry. But he's going to be all right. You don't need to worry, you two. You're two nice people. Well, everyone here more or less is nice. I say more or less. I mean, old Leslie gets on my wick sometimes. But he's a good sort, really, fundamentally. But he's always moaning lately. But he'll be all right when he gets sorted out. Anyway, I have to go now. The power's going. But my love and God bless. And keep your chins up. Double ones as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Ooh.